It makes me
Thanks.
just want to squish the love.
No, don't squish these. These are
Not for you to squish. These are mine. How dare you? However, the appropriate person, maybe could, So Mm. The appropriate person. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah?
No, but
What does that
you
mean,
never
Dina?
know.
What were you looking
Yeah,
before? A
you
good
know.
hamster? Oh.
Right? Like you said, the appropriate person. I'm just now
Are you
looking
trying
for
to
a
tell me you
good
might be a lesbian?
person.
A
Lesbian
big
friends.
old lesbian?
So,
You
I'm
didn't answer
just
the
saying.
question.
It means
You
that
didn't
I'm
answer the
open.
question.
No, does it mean you're lesbian if you?
Yes,
if
a good
you,
man.
If you,
Yes.
now I'm
No,
like,
I mean,
a
oh yeah,
person, a
yeah,
good
that's true.
human
My therapist did
that I
tell
have
me
a really
that,
good
actually.
connection with.
Yes, it does. Oh, you damn bisexual
Yeah.
bitches who trying to
Well,
jerk
all
us
I just
around.
want to know is if I'm a lesbian, who's gonna buy us dinner when we go out?
You.
Do we have to split it?
No, you're going to buy it.
Oh yeah, no, I'm good. I'm not hungry. I'm just kidding. I mean,
Oh my
listen,
God.
I barely can eat things because of all my allergies and all of the other things that
Don't
when
tell
I
a
go
lesbian
out,
that.
I know, but when I go
It's
out
not a
and
way to get somebody.
true.
Anyway.
I mean, I wouldn't tell her I couldn't eat it. I would just say that I can't eat things in this sense.
Well, neither
Is
can
that,
I.
well, yeah, but I'm not paying $22 for some gluten-free pasta with some oil on it. Like, it's just not gonna happen. But if you want to buy it for me, by all means, let's do it.
Conversation is taking a very bizarre turn.
I know, but, shit happens.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yay.
hi Dina.
Anyway.
Happy
Hi,
Valentine's
Ashley.
Day. It's so nice to see you.
Oh my God. Are you doing
so-
anything loving for yourself?
I bought myself a little tiny thing of flowers. Do you like them?
I love them. I think they're amazing.
There's actually flowers in the house too. Listen, if I don't have anybody to buy me flowers, I love flowers. Y'all are welcome to send me flowers, but I am happy to buy them for myself too because I love them.
See? And then I made a date with Isabella to be her date for Valentine's Day. And we're going to go see Avatar. And we're going to just go to a nice movie. I haven't been to the movies in over 3 years.
Who's paying? She a lesbian? Are you paying?
I wish. No, we're each paying for each other. Our own
okay.
self.
Very well. Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Very good. Very good. That sounds
lovely. And if she wants
lovely.
to give me, a little kissy huggy on the side after, I'll say, thank you.
Isabella, you hear that? Oh boy. Shit.
Amazing. I'm clearly frisky today.
Ah, boy, amore is in the air.
Oh, yes.
Well, and what an appropriate topic we have for today.
Oh, no, shit. What is it?
Listen, so today's topic is how to have a healthy fight. Because I'm going to tell you, days like this seem to bring up a lot of pressure. Like it puts a lot of pressure on people. And I feel like when I'm in a couple situation and Valentine's Day comes around, I am one of those people who loves it. Like I like to plan it to the nth degree. I like to do something special. I like to make the other person feel special. And I like to be made to feel special, you know? I have been with partners who didn't feel that way. And just, would literally run out the day of and, get something. And it's so obvious and then fine, but I would always get my feelings hurt. So.
Yeah, because you feel like an afterthought.
I feel like an afterthought. I don't like that, but I know that is something that also I need to, be in check with and get myself in check. These aren't the kind of things that you know about people when you first start dating them. It's something you sort of learn once you get into it. Like some people just aren't big into birthdays and Valentine's Day and holidays. And that's hard for me.
And maybe those are it's hard for me too, because I'm so like you are in that. And I think that those are questions that we need to start having early on, meaning because I didn't know when I married my husband, he hated Christmas. Anyone
who hates Christmas?
The Grinch, the Grinch of Grinch. And then on my birthday, my first birthday, when I moved my country, my car, my furniture, my freaking life, and I move everything. You had to change nothing. On my first birthday here, he takes the day off tells me nothing about what's going on. We were going to go get a TV for the bedroom, and he's just relaxing. He lays on the sun a little bit on the balcony. And like at 3:30, I finally go, are we not doing anything for my birthday? Like, what the hell is up? And I drug my ass out. I went and bought the TV I wanted for the bedroom. I drug it back, and he goes, I don't know what you're so upset about. Like, we were going to do something. Dude, you've been
Like
home
what?
all day. You took off work. We've done nothing. Right. Well, and so, but do you see how it already gets me amped just thinking about it? Right.
Yes.
And so my approach clearly needed some work. So I really get where you're going with this, is that when you're very excited about things and your partner literally has no desire to, you know, that's a hard one.
It is a hard one. And I feel like, I mean, it could be because of that. It could be because of 100 things, but I feel like sort of that seems to be the underlying root of sometimes why fights happen on Valentine's Day. There's this pressure. I'm using Valentine's Day as an example because here we are, but it could be anything in a relationship, special occasions, whatever. Any fight
it's
that
the
happens.
build up. Yeah, it's the build up and the pressure of the day.
Right. And we've talked about this before. We had a previous topic of expectations and how that can lead to resentment. And this is absolutely an example of that, right? Is that, I mean, and most women, I think, well, I take it back. Some lesbians are not. I was going to say are romantic. Some are not. But it's tough. So what do you do when you're in that situation? And, you know, I mean, you just said what you did in that situation. How do you think you would handle that differently today if, you know, you have a partner that's not as forward thinking as you in planning that stuff and the day of, and your feelings are hurt, and it's hard to get out of that once it sets in, right?
Totally. And so I'll answer that part of it, and then I'm going to go to an example. Okay. So I think that what happens when we do get our feelings hurt and we're so in it, it is very hard to be like, what were you expecting? And is this what you wanted? You just got to get out of that. So I think the best thing you can do is take yourself out of the situation in that moment. Go for a walk, go on a drive, go get a Starbucks, whatever it is you want, right? Because anyway, I'm coming at you, in my mind, you've already ruined the day, because now I've already gaslighted myself so much about how you are not interested and you must not love me and you must not care, that no matter what you say now, I'm not going to hear it. Right. So what I've learned to do, well, and then I did, so the answer to that question is, if you have the luxury of going into a different room or getting in the shower, removing yourself, and then maybe in a very calm way, going to that person and telling them what your hope was for the night or your hope was for the day. What I would say now is what I learned, that my ex was not the type of person who could think for me on his own. And I think that that's because it was a lot of pressure. Like, I like specific things. He couldn't get me the right thing. So when my therapist and I would talk about it, he said,
you're hard to buy for? Is that what you mean by that?
Yes, hard to buy for me. Anything.
No, I mean,
blingy.
Is that what you were?
No, yes, but meaning like it's like I'm hard to buy. Anyone who knows me, a blingy, like anything with sparkles, just buy it for me, right? And so, and I've watched him buy for his mother and his sister, and so he's freaking capable of it. So then that compiles on top of the rest, because you're like, wait, you could stand and pick it out for other people, but you can't do it for your wife, right?
Ouch.
I'm adding lots of to it. And so what he would say is, you need to go find what you want, take a picture of it, take a picture of the outside of the store, and send him the picture and say, I go, but there's nothing romantic about it.
Outside of the store?
Yes, because literally I would be in the mall and I would be I would even take pictures with the sales girl with the thing in my hand, right? So that we didn't miss it.
My God.
Because the fact is that he didn't put as much importance on me as I would have liked him to.
Yeah, but then it's not being thoughtful on his part. Then you're doing all the thinking.
I get that.
That doesn't work for me either. It's not about getting the gift. It's about them thinking of the thing.
But then how do you train them? Meaning train, or how do you, if you want people to change and you want people to show up differently, you have to show them what you like and what you don't like, right? So my hopes by doing that would be to start to show him, so then eventually it would catch on, right? Eventually he would get the idea, eventually. So I started doing that. And the funniest thing about that was he would come home with the bag and the gift all wrapped and go, you're never going to guess what I got you.
So you wouldn't do it in a way of like, I would really like this for Valentine's Day or my birthday. You would just sort of be out in the world and take a picture of something and go,
oh no, I would say,
really
I want this for Valentine's Day. I want this for my birthday. I had to be specific or I got nothing.
Wow.
You know how hard that is for someone like me who gives everything, especially to him. And it was some of the most painful times. And it's not that I put it on the gift. It is that I put it on, I would attach that to how much I think you thought of me.
Right. And it's not that he doesn't love you.
He just doesn't know how to do those kinds of things.
But what is that? What is that? Because, you know, I've been with those people too. And I know that she loved me. I know that she did 100 other things for me. She would cook for me. She would bring me home things randomly on other days. Hey, babe, I saw this in the store and I thought it would look really good on you. Do you want it? I bought it. If you don't like it, I'll take it back. I loved that.
Well, maybe it's resistance of you telling her when she's supposed to and how she's supposed to celebrate you or adore you or give you gifts.
Resistance of.
Say
that again.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Wink. Could you rephrase the question?
Maybe she was resisting to your persisting of her showing you romance in the way you needed or wanted her to.
Probably.
I'm sure for a fact that
you think that was what was happening with you too?
Oh, intuitive. Oh, for a fact, because even one day he said while we were driving, he said to me, while we were driving, wait, I totally lost my train of thought because I'm so angry fucking thinking of it. No.
Resisting you, basically controlling how he gives you things.
Okay. Well, resisting me, meaning he would take anything I said as me saying, you must do this, you must. So he would be like, I don't believe in compromiso. And I'm like, well, then why'd you get married? Marriage is compromise. And I thought maybe it was a language thing or like a whatever thing. And so then I would literally go through the translator and show, no, I know the word. It's compromiso. It's okay, fine. So one day I will give you, for instance, and people don't ever do this, but I will tell you how immature and how it used to get me. This man built up for so long my Christmas present, said, oh my God, I got you technology. And anyone who knows me knows how much I love technology.
Yeah.
I got you technology. I'm so excited. You're going to love your gifts. And there's 4 of them. And I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, finally. Listen, it's not bad. I opened the first gift and it is a car charger, and it's a Chinese car charger, not even like an Apple or something, meaning from the Chinese store in the dollar bin, right? The dollar bin.
Yeah. Yep.
A plastic pink backpack, and I can't even remember the other 2. So when we're on the way to his mom's, we're arguing, and he's like, I go, how do you even call that technology? Well, it is. You need it for your card. And before I knew it, I was punching him in his face across the car because, again, like the birthday, you are not celebrating me the way I think you should be celebrating me or loving me or what I'm used to. And then now that I'm saying it is that, yes, now I realize growing up, how my parents would band-aid all wounds and all the bad things was we would get very expensive gifts. And then that would make up for the whole year, right? So then I'm assuming as my husband, you're sure as shit gonna do that, right? Because you've been fucking up, all right? So now we're on a fucking car charger from the dollar bin and the plastic backpack, you know, like for kids for school. Oh, look, it's so cute. You like it. He probably spent less than $10 on me. Now, this is also my first Christmas here. So he fucked up on the birthday and now we're on the Christmas.
Yeah.
Right. And so what would I have done now is I would have done what I learned through therapy, is sending the picture thing out. And then after a while, I just had no expectation of him, which was disappointing because it is frustrating that you can't get that love from a partner. And you thought when you got a partner that you were going to be loved in the way you wanted to be loved, and then it doesn't happen,
Yeah.
that is compiled on top of the disappointment of the gift giving or the wanting the romance or whatever it is. So I think it's so much deeper than we realize, you know what
Back
I
to
mean? And
reparenting yourself. Yeah.
reparenting yourself. I mean, think about this. We have to literally get excited that people do normal, everyday, polite things going, he actually called when he said he was going to call her. They actually responded when they said they were going to respond.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's just such a bummer to me. So it's like, if I'm going to have a fight, or I don't even like the word fight, or like, how do you have a
Right.
healthy conversation with
Yep.
people, or how do you bring up hard conversations with healthiness in especially if you don't know somebody, right? And
Yeah.
especially when you're starting something out, you could maybe give people a little insight into you, not being like, well, I generally like this or I like that. You could give insight into, I'm such a flower person, I love flowers, or the holidays make me so happy, or
Yeah.
it's always been just my dream the next time I have a partner to watch Christmas movies and snuggle,
Oh, yeah.
right? And then
And they'll go,
hopefully, well, if they say no, then and
then
that's
that's
your
not your
cue.
person. Yeah. Yeah,
That's your cue
exactly.
to be like, not like, oh, I can change them. I'm going to get them to see how amazing I
Right.
am. I'm going to buy them
Right.
something. So then if they buy me something shitty, they're going to feel bad. And I'm not saying I've done all of these. I'm just saying hypothetically, I'm going to buy them something. Like I used to have boyfriends who had their birthday 2 days before me. And I had two different ones. They were on the 11th and I was on
Wow.
13th.
Oh
So I would
boy.
always get the gift super good, hoping that they would
Mm-hmm.
know they would have
Mm-hmm.
to mirror it,
Mm-hmm.
and it seemed to work in my favor
Did it?
pretty much. Yes. And so that's not manipulation, is it? Yeah.
Right.
We do what we have to do when we're younger, but I think we put so much hope and so much pressure into a day or into a situation. But then again, like, when do we get these opportunities to, yes, we could do it every day, but Valentine's Day is fun, and it's lovely. And you would be surprised how many, when I used to wait on tables, how many couples argued at dinner on Valentine's Day because of women being upset over not as much as they thought they should have done, or the effort wasn't there.
Well, that's why I bring it up today, because it just seems to be that this holiday is really triggering for some people. I feel like a lot of
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say men in particular, not all men, but a lot of the men in my life are like, it's a Hallmark holiday. It doesn't really mean shit. We love each other. I do things for her all the time, blah, blah, blah. And,
But do you do them in the style of romance? Because, see, look at Valentine's Day is geared
right.
just towards romance.
Right, exactly, exactly. Take
And
one
so,
day out of the year to be
yes,
super romantic.
yes. And
But what
so,
if it happens in a time in your relationship where maybe you're not getting along great and your partner is kind of like, I mean, that's an awesome opportunity maybe for you to turn things around, but it takes a lot to step up when you're not feeling it anymore and
yeah.
plan a
And
romantic night.
I think with those situations, it is very important, especially when your partner so well, and the history, and how they might respond, how you kind of do something where it makes you both kind of laugh, right? And to break the ice,
Mm-hmm.
say something goofy, and then just be like, would you mind if we just went to a movie together, and then grab a hand, or do something that's not invasive, that's not overtly saying this is over because I made this gesture, like whatever. No, but this is you making an effort on either side. You making an effort to show the person that you're still here along
Mm-hmm.
the ride, right beside them, although the ride's bumpy. We're going to get through it together. So I am going to hold your hand. Or it doesn't
That's
always have to
lovely.
be verbal. It can also just be presence, right?
Yeah.
Like being next to someone. It's like, even if we're not talking, it doesn't mean that we have to be in separate rooms and just avoid. And it's just because maybe we're not talking because both of us are coming from different ends of the spectrum. We've been down this route so many fucking times. What else is there to say?
Mm-hmm.
Right. But sometimes people just showing up, I think a lot of people, when they don't know what to say, they're there because they want to show people that they're not going anywhere. They just don't know what to say.
Right. And, romantic gestures don't have to be all about spending money either. To me, like if
No.
somebody offers to fix me dinner and they put a little candles out and,
Or
lights
they
are
slip a
low
little
and
post-it note in your bag or like on your cabinet, or when you go, when if you don't live together, inside, or just little gestures that I love. When someone gets me something, and it doesn't have to be big, but it's just to know that you thought of me, right?
mm-hmm,
That's
mm-hmm.
like super important to me. So
Yes.
like I
Yes.
think like acts of service and things like that, I just would like to know that throughout your day I was on your mind.
And flowers. Get her
Yes,
the
and
fucking
flowers.
flowers.
Yes, get her the fucking flowers. I mean, do you know when I first moved to this
God.
country, Marco tried to convince me, thinking that I was convincible,
Mm-hmm.
was that flowers were only for the dead in Europe,
Well, what are
and
the
that
dead
they
gonna do
didn't
with them?
buy. Well, and that do you think I'm that stupid? We're in Italy, the most romantic country in the world, supposedly, and you're sitting here trying to tell me that it's only for the dead and people don't buy for each other.
Right. That's funny. Oh, Marco. He had a lot of tricks up his sleeve, didn't he?
So many. And now that I think of it, it's actually really funny because we joke about it. Sometimes he'll text and we joke, or we'll say
Mm-hmm.
like funny things. But in that moment, and although I'm lighthearted about now, it was a lot of pain.
Oh,
I did
yeah.
not
Of
get what I
course.
thought I was signing up for. So we did not know how to fight. And we
Right.
did a lot of damage to each other
Yeah.
in our fighting. And I was a dirty fighter in
Yeah.
the way of I have an impeccable memory, so I know what to say, when to say it, how to say it. With it's just, but and then he was the type of person where he didn't shut down and stay quiet. He would come right back at you with the same kind of venom because
Mm-hmm.
his stubbornness needed to match my stubbornness.
Mm-hmm.
And then this was the worst part. The next day, a lot of people would say this was amazing, but this was the worst part for me. The next day, good morning, he would be like
Mm-hmm.
that. And he would act like everything was over and nothing had happened and the world is everything is right with the world. And I was like, yeah, it doesn't work like that. Like, I just don't get over that kind of shit very
Right.
quickly. Right. And so it's like,
Right.
and there were times I wished I was like that so
Right.
that we could move on. And then there were times where I did go overboard and drag things on a little too quickly, a
Mm-hmm.
little too long,
Too
and
long.
made them worse.
Yeah. I've been that person too.
And then you're like,
Yeah.
fuck,
I've been both
why
of
did
those
I?
people in certain
Well,
situations. And it's, you know, that's where this topic comes up and where I think it's important for people to communicate. I mean, how do with a new partner, like I would love to know walking in, like how do you like to resolve conflict? Are you a person that needs space? Because I've had those people that just walk away from me too, and I'm like, well, what the fuck is that? That's hurtful.
it's just
Unless you
overstimulation.
understand, exactly,
Yeah.
unless you understand that some people can't have all of
hmm
that, they need a minute. Well then just verbalize it. Say, hey, I need a minute. I'm gonna,
Yeah.
okay, great.
I was guilty of that, walking away only because it was, and now I'm better at it, was to, if someone raises their voice at me and
Mm-hmm.
gets to in my face, I shut down and I have to leave. Or if I feel unsafe in any, and I'm not talking physical, and if I feel like you're going to break up with me before I break up with you, then I'm going to walk away.
Mm-hmm.
Now I
Did you feel
know,
like raising a voice meant we're about to break up? Did you feel like your
yes,
relationship was in jeopardy? Huh.
I felt like my relationship was in jeopardy, and also because of childhood trauma and things, it just was. I don't like that word triggered all the time, but
Yeah.
it just was very. It just brought a lot of things up to where I was like, I can't control the situation. I'm not safe. The first thing I have to
Right.
do is get out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You
That
know
makes
what I
sense.
mean? And
Sure.
so I think what you're saying is so helpful if people would answer that question honestly. But I
Right.
think a lot of times when we meet people, they will tell us the way we want to hear it, the way they think we want to hear it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what I've learned, and I think we talked about it on the previous episode, is when having a conflict resolution conversation, right? Is
Right.
that
So then the
I
conflict has
feel
already happened.
yes, and then we're trying to resolve it. I just remember being in my own space, in my own head, having the negotiation with myself instead of giving the control over to the person that I'm fighting with and trying to plead my case to, and maybe wanting them to, or needing them to think the way I need or want them to. And I have to remember that they don't get to decide how I feel or how I respond.
Of
I get
course.
to decide that. And
Yes.
that's a new
That's,
thing, right?
yeah.
In my 50s, I've been realizing that. So if younger women or younger men or younger people in general would realize that we put too much on the other person behaving or responding in a way that makes us feel validated. That's a lot of pressure to put on someone, especially someone you're just meeting and they don't know your history or your triggers.
Meaning you might not get the reaction you're looking for right there. You might not get the, hey, I need a moment. They might just walk away. And you have to
Oh,
learn
for
how to
sure.
self-soothe and do that.
To
Yes,
self-soothe
and I agree.
yeah, sorry, go
This
on.
is no, it's okay. It's something that I've had to practice as an adult as well because now I am that person that will say I need a minute and I'll have to walk away if it's something like that where somebody's exploding at me too. I can't think of a situation where that's happened in 15 years to be honest,
Yeah.
but I would think now I'm going to because nobody wants to be
Mm-hmm.
in that situation. But back in the day, before I learned the tools and stuff, I mean, I grew up in a family where conflict was conversation. Fighting and arguing and raising voices was the way, and we always worked through it. But that's
Yeah.
the way we worked through it. So to me, that never felt scary. It never
Uh-huh.
felt threatening. It's just the way we did things. And my family, we still do that. My God, it's like
Because that's
walking back into that
normal for you
household.
guys.
Right, but I mean the volume level will go from here to here, and a
Yeah.
lot of people that aren't used to that will come into our family and go, "Y'all are a lot," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"What?" And it's like,
Totally.
I'm stepping back into something that I've dealt with all my life, but it did take me a long time to learn that doesn't work for most people, and that is an anomaly of what I grew up in. That ain't healthy. You're not
Mm-mm.
supposed to conflict resolve that way. You're supposed to bring it down a notch and not because people do feel threatened. And I in past fights would never try to make someone feel that way. I always wanted them to understand that I wasn't going anywhere, but we were going to argue it
Mm-hmm.
out until it was a beat horse, like,
Totally.
and
So
that
in
doesn't
your
work.
family, have you guys all ever been sitting in a room and have been like watching a fight happen, and then you kind of watch it to where you can see it's not going to go good, it's not going to
Oh
go
yeah.
good, and then so what does all the other people around do?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, we all grew up that way, and we've got a lot of alphas
Mm-hmm.
in my family. So
Mm-hmm.
all of us kids have an opinion, and my mom has an opinion. And it's like everybody just kind of goes, rah, 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 and we just watch it go. It just spins and spins until it's done.
Wow. That no, it is my family's a lot too, and how my family would fight was mouths, the screaming, the yelling, the accusing, the so there was never any kind of conflict resolution, nor did anyone ever try in the household, and unfortunately that trickled down from the parents, right? But I think that the way we fight now, not when we were younger, says a lot about who we've become, right?
Right.
And so I
Yes.
think what happens is when you're with someone or you feel your, because for me it's this heated kind of, when
Mm-hmm.
your chin quivers, like my face will get hot if I'm
Mm.
feeling like I'm
I
gonna
got
get
hot.
super
Yeah. I'll do
pissed.
it.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And the chin quivers and the sphincter tightens, and it's just all fun and games from here out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for me growing up, the person who could cut down the other person the best in our house was the winner.
We didn't play that dirty. It
Oh, we
wasn't
played
about
that
being
dirty.
dirty. It was
Well,
about
no,
just
it got
raising the
dirty.
voice to hear
Yes,
the
no, for
opinion.
us it got dirty. And so
That's not
for a
good.
long time I only knew how to fight dirty, right? But
Yeah.
then someone from my family the other day, I was very proud of myself. They had texted the same thing. They always text, right? And then at the end of the text is like, I wish things would have been different, blah blah, and it's always the same for however many years. And then my response was, because I wanted to just make it stop, right? But you can't just make stuff stop if you ignore it, you block it, you ghost it, you whatever. And I said, unfortunately, things aren't different. And the thing is that everyone has to put into the work, put in the work. Silence.
Yep.
They were
Yep.
gone.
Yep.
Because they were hoping and betting that I was going to feed into what I have always fed into. And so for so long, I was afraid of sticking up to a specific person or not saying, because I knew I would either get cut off or this was going to happen or that was going to happen. And I'm always accused of being, I think I'm better than because I'm in therapy or the work I do, or not everyone's my client. And so I'm not allowed to have my own thoughts and my own feelings because it's the work that I do. So then that is thrown in my face and used against me.
Right, I bet.
So then I had to turn around and look at, was I responding in a, I think I'm better than you way, or that I'm a know-it-all? And yes, in the very beginning, absolutely, I will take that on. But I think what happens is, because I've had a lot of the same friends for so long and now people don't see me, people just assume I'm where I was when they left me or where we left. And then although we talk, you know,
how would they know?
Totally. So I have to reteach them. And so I don't sit there and make an announcement, but when things come up, I will say something to the effect of, oh, I've grown so much and I've done so much work on myself. So usually when I see stuff like this, and then I'll go into something and I'll try to say it in the most loving, complimentary way. And usually if we can try to fix it or not, or whatever it may be. But I still, unfortunately, cannot have those same conversations with my family. You can't go fight in a new way with old people who haven't changed.
Family is tough because, family is
tough. So how do you fight with family that is where you left them, let's say 20 years ago, meaning they're all still together. They all still fight. I'm not saying that they're grown, but let's say they fight the way they used to. And then you come into the situation and you've shifted completely, but they're like, oh, Ashley, don't be like that. You're being too sensitive. Oh, please. Like, what's wrong with you? Oh, now Ashley's so sensitive. LA's gotten to her. Woo, woo,
oh, yeah,
woo.
I've heard that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, me too, right? Yeah. And so then you want to get defensive and you want to fight about it. But now that I'm older and I've learned that the fighting in that way doesn't work, because we're just, you know, trying to go, you know, one above the other. And now I've learned is like, I'm like, how important is this relationship? Is what I'm going to say be misconstrued? Is it important, or will this person even receive what I'm trying to say in this moment? Has this person ever showed that even when I've said my truth or what I've wanted to say, any respect or remorse? Right? So all this goes quickly in my head. And then I can make decisions going, now's not the time. Keep your mouth shut. In an hour from now, you'll be back home. It's not worth the uproar in the family. And it doesn't mean I'm saying take shit, be a victim, any of that. I'm saying pick your battles to where it serves you and your insides, and you are allowed to keep going down your healthy journey or path, whatever you're choosing for yourself, in order not to get bumped off the tracks and put back where you started way over here.
Yeah, well, and family is such a interesting dynamic too, and to get a little woo-woo, right? I do feel like the family that we were born into is a sort of a school for us, right? I feel like we're meant to sort of bounce off these personalities and learn and grow and from each other, and or for me to do that. I mean, I'm saying everybody has to take accountability for themselves, but when you're in it with a romantic partner, hopefully you've chosen that person as your partner because you want to continue to grow together and you want some work to occur and you want a little give and take, not just meeting a brick wall with every conversation.
So, but what do you do in this? And I get what you're saying, and I totally get that. But unfortunately, not everyone's going to want the same thing. And does that mean that you stop growing because they don't want to, and you stay here to make them happy. I'm not saying you, I'm saying in general, people, right? So a lot of people are guilty of staying here going, well, okay, because I don't want to leave them behind. And then if I grow too much, they're going to be behind. But then we become resentful because we see other people growing and other people doing things. And then when we fight, it's like, well, I've been sitting back for you. Well, I didn't fucking ask you to sit back here for me.
Well,
I didn't ask you not to grow.
Well, when you say you don't want to leave them behind instead of doing more growth, I'm inferring from that you mean maybe I drink with them again, or maybe I fall back into old patterns of arguing with them in the same way, as opposed to holding the line and continuing to move forward. Just clarifying.
Well, because if you're staying, thank you for clarifying that. If you're staying here, right, you have to stay where you have that stuff in common. I think the fear with a lot of us is, I don't want to grow out of them, right?
Sure.
Or I don't want to grow, and then we have nothing in common.
Right.
So when I ask someone, and I think this is a very important point of delivery and everything, I think that when I ask someone to do something, that's where I'm coming from. Marco or other people used to take it as, because my delivery is, you need work, and so you're doing this with me.
Right.
And that was my mistake. So my mistake was the delivery, instead of being like, oh my God, I'm so excited about blah, blah, blah. Right. And then them seeing, so why don't we start to do the work? Let whoever we're with, we give them the option. Hey, I'm taking this course, or I'm going to this thing, if you want to come. Even if they don't, we go without them. And then they watch our change. And then hopefully, if they see, they like what they see, they'll want to slowly start coming on board.
Right.
Right. But I think if we can all look at it and be honest with ourselves, the way we've approached family, and listen, I get it, because we're so sick of it. We've been dealing with it for years. We get so frustrated that we have now stepped out of everything in our character and gotten way down on their level, and then we're pissed, and then life starts fucking, knocking us down, but we've just lowered our vibration. And so now we're back here again, when we tried really hard to get over that. And so fighting is not fighting a better option? Absolutely, because you're going to save your vibration if you know that you're fighting with a brick wall, meaning that no one's going to hear you, receive you, or make any changes. So what, you're just going to feel better that you screamed into the wall that didn't hear you? No. Maybe I'll write it down, and if I still feel that way in a couple of days, maybe I'll re-edit it, and maybe I'll send you a text. What I have learned through my therapist is that some people are better at receiving text in an emotional situation because it's easier for them to process instead of being confronted in the moment, because their automatic is defense mode. I've got to protect myself. So you're not going to get so. And I was like, okay, but then sometimes things can be misconstrued in text. Right. And so then totally. I'm like, well, maybe a verbal voice clip or whatever it is, whoever you're dealing with, I think you can adapt certain ways of finding conflict resolution to a situation.
Maybe it starts with a text, to at least get the conversation going and bring the topic up, and then say, when you're ready, can we chat about this or something? I don't know. I mean, I like to have face-to-face conversations, because I just, exactly what you said, I don't like I don't want to try to read into what your text means. I want to hear your tone of voice. I want to see what your demeanor is. And I want the banter. I want the conversation.
Let's think about, give me a fight that you had, which is one of the ones that you regret the most, and how you behaved. The ones that you may have regretted them, or that still, when you think about it, it comes right to the surface.
Oh boy. Well, all right. Well, there were two things that came to mind. I was just thinking about how much I still have to work on, because even last episode, when you said something and I went on defensive, like immediately, and I met your energy with that same energy rather than going, hold on. I'm sure Dina didn't mean that in the way it came across. I should have gently, hey, by the way, that's not da-da-da. So I realize how fast that still lies under the surface for me. Like, it's still, that fire is still there, and I don't like that.
And it's, listen, I used to be that way for a long time, in the sense of that I would jump on people all the time, and I would, because that for me, I always felt growing up or whatever unsafe. And
Yeah.
I'm not talking like the physical part, I'm talking also in the verbal forum of the family and being thrown into the center, right?
Yeah.
And so it's more so I've learned now to not respond to the word, and I'm responding more to the energy. But with you,
Well,
I'm
yeah.
learning, right? And so we've had conversations about it, and you are working on it, and it is hard. But can I ask what it is that you're doing different in order to be able to rectify it?
Well, that conversation was just last week, so not much since then.
Okay. Well,
You know,
so
what I
when you
want
say,
to
because what
say
you say is
is,
I have so much work to do, I'd like to know what that work is.
yeah. Well, I think it's just taking a deep breath and not assuming the worst of somebody else, you know, not assuming that you're meaning to say something hurtful to me, you know. I mean,
Yes.
and you're right, that is a defensive protective response. It's very
Mm-hmm.
reactionary. So I'm trying to work on my reactions of, you know, don't jump the gun so fast, Ashley. It's not necessary. And obviously, even though I know that you love me, you are very supportive of
Mm-hmm.
me, we have a wonderful friendship,
Yeah.
there's still that little thing inside of like, but wait, no, you know, don't come at me like that.
But does that
And
come from having so many siblings and getting accused of things that we're not guilty of, or like when you're in a
yeah,
big
I'm not going to blame
household,
that on
or
the siblings, but
okay.
somebody in the household.
Okay, I got you. No, no, I get, listen, I get
Yeah,
that. So I
totally.
used to be so defensive because in my household, everything was a passive aggressive, or there was always some underline
Right.
to some sort of compliment or something. So it was like,
Yeah.
oh, fuck off. Like that's probably why I have a hard time taking compliments.
Well, and as we know, you know, when you grow up with that, you then therefore also attract that in your life with
Mm-hmm.
other partners to try to work through these things subconsciously, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
not just from the family dynamic. I mean, I've had, you know, a slew of relationships where I've then had to step up and clarify, you know.
Okay, so then I'm sorry I
So,
cut you off, but so tell me the
no.
one that you remember that is on the
The
top of
worst
your head.
fight? You
Mm-hmm.
want
Well,
me to share
the
that
one
with the
in which,
world?
no, but I want you to give
Jesus,
me,
Dina.
right, but I want you to give me an example of something that you
Oh,
regret
man.
and you still think about it, and how you would do it differently now, knowing better, how you
Oh
would have handled
gosh. Well,
it.
I think back to like my first relationships when I was freshly moved out of my childhood home. And I mean, I was fit to be tied. And I didn't know it. I had so much anger pent up and so much just like lying right under the surface. And I'd grown up defensive, defensive, defensive. And the first couple of girlfriends I had, man, I put them through it. I mean, Jesus.
What,
One,
testing their love for you?
uh, no, the reactionary thing, just always assuming the worst thing. Like the
Ah,
fights were brutal, they were physical. One of them I pushed down the stairs and she went to the
yikes.
hospital and got in a neck brace. And I feel horrible for that. I felt
Oh,
horrible
wow.
then, but I wasn't a
Yeah.
big enough human to say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I was just like, oh fuck, is she going to sue me? What's about to happen?
Uh-huh.
I got
Shit.
protective again. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it was all stupid, and I did it over, you know, her going out with my then boyfriend behind my
That's not
back,
confusing.
while I was cheating on him with somebody else. You know what I mean? It was like that
Yes.
stupid drama that we have when I was 19 years old, and it was just like the stupidest thing. So that was a bad one. That was a
And
bad
was
one.
alcohol involved?
Every time.
Okay. So
I would
the
say
number one
pretty much
thing
every
you've
time.
already done is you've eliminated the alcohol. But now, if you were to get, and well, we wouldn't even get in these kind of arguments now, but
No.
if you were mad or something, how would you approach somebody, especially if you thought they were seeing somebody that was your ex-boyfriend or something? How would you approach it without your aggressive sort of tone?
If they were out with somebody that I was actively
So, like, if
with and
that
I
girl
felt like
was
they were
saying,
coming from, well, first of all, she did have, I think, some intentions, but who knows? I don't know. Because it wasn't the first time that happened with her. You know, she
mm-hmm,
also wiggled in with a friend of mine that I was kind of into. And anyway, so there was just a lot of that dynamic back then. There
yeah,
was a lot of jealousy. There was a lot of, And when you're that age, everybody's hot. So everybody's trying to sleep with each other. It was just like,
well, and so when you look at
so
that young person, because
stupid.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I also don't want you to wiggle.
Yep.
When you look at that young girl of Ashley, right?
Yep.
And then you're looking at the Ashley now, do you have compassion for her? Do you feel like she was lost? Or
I
what
do.
kind of advice would you give her if she came home and told you about that fight? What kind of advice would you give her?
After the fight?
Uh-huh.
Oh my
And she came
Lord.
home
I'd
and
say
told you
go
the story.
apologize immediately, first of all, and sit down with her and beg her for your forgiveness. But then, also just say, hey, this is what I assumed. I don't know if I'm right or not. Either way, my behavior was absolutely inappropriate and uncalled for. I'm so sorry. How can I help? Do you have bills now
Mm-hmm.
that you have to
Yes.
pay? Like all of that shit. I mean, my
And then
God,
also, where's the
horrible.
compassion for yourself of the scared girl who was afraid that somebody was cheating on her and
Yeah,
whatever? You've got to
yeah.
also learn how to
Oh,
talk
yeah.
to that
Well,
part of you as well.
well, then it was, my mother did leave my father, and it was a very unhealthy vibe in the house, and she was, anyway, I
Mm-hmm.
don't need to tell that whole story, but so yeah, that was something that I grew up, and that happened when I was 5 years old. So it's that
Yeah.
underlying feeling of,
Uh-huh.
you know, somebody just leaving somebody all of a sudden for somebody else. Because in my mind as a kid, I didn't see the gradual happening of it. They kept that hidden from me. So I just
Mm-hmm.
saw all of a sudden one day dad was gone and there was somebody else there. So to
Oh,
me, in
wow.
my head, as a kid growing up, it happened that fast. And that's how fast somebody could
Wow.
leave you and replace you.
Oh,
Yeah,
ouch. That makes a lot
right.
of sense.
Yeah. So it took me a long time to sort
Ouch.
of put two and two together on that and go, God, not everybody is that you're with is has that mindset. Some do, maybe,
Totally.
but
Well,
and I
and
certainly
my
attracted a few that still did, which just reinforced my belief and enforced my belief and
Yeah, and
shit.
my fucked up mindset was my dad had an affair with his secretary,
Mm-hmm.
and he used to bring her and her kid to our house. My mom used to cook for her. We didn't know that. Then my mom found out, okay, and we moved in with dad and the secretary, and the secretary got like a TR7 convertible. We moved into a turnkey model home, like all of this shit, right? And then in my sweet little brain, I was like, it fucking sucks to be the wife. The wife is loyal. She goes to visit you all the time in prison.
Mm-hmm.
She's there for you. She does all this shit. You get out and you have an affair with your secretary. Fuck
Yeah.
that.
Right.
Hence why I didn't get married until I was 41, because
Right.
I thought everyone was going. I thought if you didn't buy me the TR7, the this, the that, the whatever,
Mm-hmm.
then you must not love me. I literally, in my family, when you say, if you let me, you'll fight for me, they would literally mean physically fight.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like you would fight someone to get me. And
Right.
so my whole thing was so distorted. So
Mm-hmm.
for so long, I fought for people to fight for me like that. And then I would test them.
Right.
And I
Right.
would test to say, I'm out of here, I'm leaving. And then hopefully they would come chase me and be like, don't
Oh
leave,
my
don't leave.
God.
And then
I
that
had
would
you as a
be my
girlfriend.
source. See, that's
I
why you
had
love
so
me
many
so
of you.
much. That's why you love me so
Fucking
much.
girls would leave and it would just destroy me, and they do it
Mm-hmm.
knowing that it triggered something big in me, and I would
Oh,
always
see,
go
no,
after
I
them and
did
I'd
it
always go looking
wanting you,
for them.
yes,
Should have
wanting
let
you to
them or
look for
let their
me.
asses walk.
Totally, to prove it to me,
Yes.
right? And
And
so
to
I,
myself. Get out of
yeah.
here.
And so, well, now it's just like, it can be so confusing because if we talk about we want someone we want, but if we only have our own lenses to look through,
Mm-hmm.
then how do we know or accept or come up with it's okay what they're doing, and I just have to get used to it a different way. It's not in the way I saw someone loving me, but if they're caring and doing loving things and all of that, we don't make sure don't naysay that. Do something. I love that you do this, but next time do you think we go eat Mexican? Or I love when we or just remember that I get cold easy, so if we're going to be outside, tell me to bring a jacket. Say lovely things like that so that you don't deter someone from keeping to do nice things, because sometimes when people do nice things, people may seem ungrateful and they may say something to the effect of, I can't use that. Or like, I recently gave someone a few masks and stuff for like a gift, and they're like, oh, I have allergies, I can't use that. And I was like, oh shit, I'm so sorry. Like, and it didn't make me feel, although in the past it would have made me feel, but this time it didn't make me feel. I'm like, okay, I'll just give them to the kids and then I'll get you something different, or like whatever it may be, right? But I think that a lot of us have so much expectation on that other person proving their love to us in that one little act of Valentine's Day or flowers or a gift or whatever it may be. But that actually will lead to more fights.
Absolutely.
Because you're not appreciating, you're harping on that one thing that that person didn't do. And you want to know what else, now that I'm fucking and my neck is itching and you can tell when I get mad, I'm pissed hot. Off now. You want to know what really pisses me off? This one gets me so much about people in general. I don't get this, and maybe the people who are like this can explain it to me. So when you don't know this because I don't think you're this type. It's like someone will get hyper fixated on something. Let's say they want their boyfriend to buy them a bag, or they want their partner to buy them a dress or whatever. They fucking crush the balls for like 3 months. They finally fucking get it. And I think I'm going to have a break. And 2 days later, oh my God, I saw these shoes that would match that bag so good. And it's just like, why the fuck can't I just do something nice without it leading into other things that I need to do for you, to say for you? Sometimes it feels like it's never enough. And some men feel like they can never satiate a woman's appetite for more, and vice versa. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think we all have to be very mindful of that as well, of like, how much stock are we putting in this person to make us happy? And where's our responsibility in that too?
Yes. I agree with you 1,000%.
If I'm not making myself happy, now I want you to make me fucking happy. You're not even in me and know what I like or don't like in my head, right? And then I'm assuming you that one thing, or I love when girls go, I just want this thing and then I'll be happier. I want that thing. Oh, please, no, you won't.
Right. Well, and the point, I think, of all of this being that, you and I come from different backgrounds, but they each have their own level of fucked upness, and everybody has been through something, where they're bringing something into the table, into these relationships, their past and their filter and their lens that they're viewing their partner through, and they have these expectations based on whatever feelings are sitting with you from everything, the sum amount of your experiences, right? So I think what you just said is very important. It doesn't matter what you've been through. The question is, yes, how much of my happiness am I putting on your shoulders, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So if we can learn to take that off, I mean, that's easier said than done.
But how powerful it's like that new Miley Cyrus song, I Can Buy Myself Flowers, right?
Hello.
Hello. But I literally, it's not even just towards relationships. It's just in general. How often are we doing all the things that we expect a partner to do for ourselves on our daily basis? And then if we're not doing it for ourselves every day, but we now want somebody else who has their own life and their own shit to think about on top of that, to know in our head when to make us happy.
Right, exactly. It's impossible. We can't read each other's minds. And it's like, I do look at some of my friends and some of my own mother. I look at my own mother and how happy she is in her relationship. The things that her husband does for her would not work for me, or the lack thereof of things, but she's happy and she loves him, and she doesn't put that sort of pressure on herself, and she has zero expectations. And I look at that sometimes and I'm like, that ain't the life that I would want, but God bless her. She's happy. So who am I to judge? And having no expectations, if that equals happiness, then that's something that I can learn to implement more.
Well, and I think having no expectations is the end goal, right? Of anything in life, just in general. We could go in, sure, wanting things, but there's a different, and I'm excited if something happens, and there's a difference between I expect something to happen.
Right.
because when you're expecting it, you're setting yourself up for disappointment, right?
Right.
So I think that we hold too much onto, we give too many people outside of us the power that they don't deserve yet, or they haven't earned yet, or whatever it may be, to decide whether they're going to make us happy or not. Wait,
Right.
I'm
And
going to make
listen, there's
myself fucking
also,
happy.
that's right. And also, there's this flip side of what if, like you said, what if there is a grand gesture that they make and it doesn't really make you happy, and they immediately see the reaction on your face of that isn't what you really wanted, and they think they've gone through all this effort. I mean, maybe that's what happened to them at some point in their life, where they just kept getting
Mm-hmm.
shot down with things like that, and now they think, well, what's the point? Who knows? But
Totally. And
I could
I
see that.
also think, totally. And I also think too is that we've also been, our minds have been so distorted of on TV or shows of what happiness looks like or what's happiness should be, or, and I think a lot of us are now learning that is all just really great for that script, and someone wrote that, and life doesn't work like that. And as much as we try to think
Right.
it's similar or it's not, it's just not, it's just not the way life works. So if you start out by making yourself happy, the hope and the intention is vibrationally, you're also going to attract someone who's equally as happy with themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you have two happy people together, you may not want the things that you thought you wanted before, because you're actually getting a different kind of happiness now.
Right. Right.
Right. And you're getting somebody who's
Sure.
present, who's
Yeah.
hearing you, not somebody who's buying huge gifts to make up for not showing up on time, never being available, whatever it is, not somebody who's slapping a big money gift on problems to make them go away. So I think our happiness, if you're just around somebody who's just making you feel good, who winks at you, gives you a kiss behind you when you're working on the computer, knowing that you're in each other's presence, that may be enough this time around.
Yeah, totally. And I think if you
Mm-hmm.
have those kind of expectations on a big day, like, or especially on Valentine's Day, like I would now, I think if I'm in a relationship with somebody like that, I'd try to maybe plan something together rather than waiting to see what that other person's going to do. Of just, hey, maybe we could, should I make
Totally.
reservations for us? Could we go to dinner that night? I would love to go out to dinner with you that
Yes.
night, kind of thing. I don't know. Of
Totally. And
course,
that, I think that is important.
yeah, yeah,
Speak up. Like,
yeah,
men
right.
can't think of everything, other partners can't think. You have to be, we're both trying to be romantic. It's not all just put on one person, right? Valentine's Day.
Right.
No, it's 50-50, meet in the middle.
Right. Exactly.
And I think
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
that is really important. And so it's like with fighting, and I was thinking this when I was walking today before we came on, and I know we're winding up or whatever, but I know, I'm sure I've heard this somewhere, but in my head, when I was talking about fighting, or let's say if you're, let's just say hypothetically, we're fighting and you say something that is so off who I am as a person, it's so off my character.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to sit and go, how the fuck did they come to that with that?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
now what I've realized is that, and I even wrote it down because I'm so
Mm-hmm.
responsible, I cannot be responsible for the me you keep in your head.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Meaning, like, so if I want to try to prove my point and convince you that your narrative in your head about me is right or wrong, I don't have the energy for that. If that's what you keep getting from my behavior, maybe we're missing a mark. Maybe we're not meant to be friends. Maybe my intention is misplaced. I don't know what it is, but some friends, my therapist told me this: good friendships shouldn't have to be so much work.
Yeah.
They do take
And
work,
they're
but
not.
sometimes there are a lot of people who are a lot of work just
Yeah.
to be friends with.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's where that's, and it wasn't from the argument I had, but I used to try
Mm-hmm.
when I would fight with people, because it would break my heart so bad and I didn't want them to think of me a certain way. I would try to change the narrative image they had of me in their head and
Mm-hmm.
convince them that they were wrong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're not going to convince someone they're wrong if they're dead set on being right of what they've just approached you with.
Right, right.
So you sort of
Exactly.
back
And
away, you back away, and in a calmer time going, gosh, it really bums me out that that is how you think of me. What can I do to shift that? And when did that start?
Yeah, yeah,
Right? Just
exactly.
something with an easy tone.
Right, right. Agreed. And back to, I'm sorry, I was thinking of what you just said. My brain went elsewhere. I was watching the other night. Kevin Hart has a little talk show
Mm-hmm.
called Heart to Heart.
Called,
Have you seen it?
uh-huh. I
And he,
haven't seen it, but I've seen it on
yeah.
the
So I was
advertisements.
like, what is this? So I watched an episode the other night. Of course, I went to the lesbian episode. I went straight to Kristen Stewart. She was looking hot. My God, she was wearing this little
Oh yeah,
camisole
she
thing
is
and a
hot.
suit. And I was like, Jesus. I never really look at her that way, but she was looking hot. Anyway, completely off topic. I am a lesbian.
It's Valentine's
Um,
Day.
it's Valentine's Day. Shit.
And love is in the air.
Anyway, I love a woman in a suit. Anyway, so she brought up something on there that she said that when she was first starting to get some fame and whatnot, that people would come at her and say, oh, you've changed, or now you're so this or that or that. And she said she used to take the time to correct those people or try to maintain her, exactly what you just said, like her own, the way that they looked at her,
Mm-hmm.
her vision, their vision in her eyes or whatever. And she said, I quickly realized that there is no way I can be all things to all people. And now, she said, I just, I see people commenting, I get people at me, and it's whatever. I cannot change your opinion of me, nor am I going to try anymore. I have one person to be responsible to for the way I feel about myself, and that is me. And she goes, so
Mm-hmm.
I do what I want to do. I say the things that feel authentic to me, and whatever you think about me, not my business. And I was like, I mean, we've heard this 1,000 times, but for some
Yes.
reason, in the way she said it the other night, just hit me again with like, oh,
Uh-huh.
that's so good. That's so good.
Yeah, it landed
Hottie,
different
little
this time.
Kristen.
Right? But it landed different this time because you
Probably
were
because
probably
it
more
was
ready to
from a hot
receive it.
girl. What?
Right. I would listen from a hot girl too, but I'm saying you heard it because you were ready to hear it and it landed different this time.
Oh, a lot of
And
things would have
so,
landed. Yeah.
right. She's
Anyway,
really
yeah,
hot though. I know. Now you got me
she's
thinking.
cute.
But
Anyway,
anywho, no, before we end, I just would
yes,
like to say we are not saying that fighting isn't going to occur and people
right.
aren't gonna, mess up or whatever. I just say that if you want to up your vibration and you want to stop dimming your light and you want to start showing up for yourself and showing up for your partner, the way to do that is show up for yourself first inside and
Amen.
say, the way that I talking to people, would I be receptive of the same behavior if it was coming at me? And you start there. You just literally start in little subtle places, right? To get
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
profound impact. So if you don't like the way someone is saying it to you, I'm sure you've heard or said it to someone before, and so we take responsibility. We always go inward, go inward. I cannot say that
Mm-hmm,
enough.
mm-hmm.
So many of us are so afraid to go in because we're so afraid of what we're going to find. And it's a big mess to clean up. And how we clean up big messes is we take them little at a time. And then you get profound impacts. It's kind of like, when you're like on a diet or you're doing something and then you're not losing for so long. And then all of a sudden you lose like 20 pounds and it seems like it's overnight because your body like catches up or like whatever. That's the same with subtle changes. It's
Mm-hmm.
the whole point of a subtle change and a profound impact is that so it's not so painful that you have to change everything all at once, but
Mm-hmm.
you are going towards a profound impact.
Yes, yes. And I would just add to that also, I think that's amazing. Yes, beautifully said,
Thank you.
Dina. Thank you. I would
Mm-hmm.
just add to that too that I don't think that everybody knows how to find whatever it is they're going inside for. Like if you don't have the tools, you don't have the tools. And hence
Yes.
why we're having these conversations. So
Yes.
start with, if you don't know, if you can't figure it out, Google topics, Google podcasts, Google, there's so much free help out there right now. And I've said
So
this before
much.
too, Instagram accounts that you can follow. And I've listed them before and I'm happy to list them again in the show notes this time of just those little daily things that can help you shift in little subtle ways. And Coach Dina is a fabulous example of this, because every day for us people who need to learn these things, she gives us a little daily inspirational video that's under a minute, people. It's under a minute. So we can all take a moment and just listen to that.
Yeah,
right?
And if anyone would like me to do a topic that they're working on or they're struggling with, just send them in to Life in the New Normal at Google, LITNN at Google.
Nope.
Right?
LITNN guest at gmail.com.
There we go.
I'll list it in the show notes.
Perfect.
But yes, absolutely. We welcome your topics. If there's something you're really struggling with and you just want to hear us hash through it, then please email, send it to us.
Email, and think we're all together to help support each other now, and no one has to be alone anymore.
That's right. That is one of the blessings of technology, I will say.
Amazing. Totally.
Yeah. We have so many resources.
Yes. And happy Valentine's Day,
Thank
my
you.
Love.
Oh, happy Valentine's
cute.
Day to you too, Dina. I love you too. And have a wonderful day.
I like watching you mushy.
Oh, God, gotta work
It's
on
so
that.
tough for you. It's like you're like a rose bush. It's like, thorny.
Exactly. I'm gonna wear a motorcycle jacket on the next episode.
There we go. That's sexy.
I can't win.
I know.
All right. I love you. I'll see you next time.
I love you.
Mwah. Bye. Join us here each week as we unpack life in the new normal with a new hashtag Subtle Change Profound Impact from Coach Dina. To get a little daily inspirational message in your social feed, follow us on YouTube Shorts, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Copyright 2020 Angel Baby Films, all rights reserved.